Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live broadcast tonight. It's Sunday. It's time to put the kids to bed and go racing. It's Division 1 of the Zoom Racing League, and we're set for a great showdown tonight. We're live from Brazil at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, better known as Interlagos. The first Formula One race was held here in 1973, and it's been a fan favorite for many years. It's a 2.677-mile track, 15 turns with 10 to the left and 5 to the right. It's a tight track with fast lap times. Tire degradation and heat can be a big decider on how teams set up their strategies. Alfonso Luis currently leads your points. He's followed by Travis Robinson and last season's champion Peter Giordano in third. Alfa Romeo leads the Aston Martins through the Constructors' Championships with Alpine currently in third. There's important points on the line tonight as we've reached the halfway point in the season. We've had an exciting racing in Divisions 2 and 3, and we're expecting fireworks on track tonight. And let's meet my partner for the race tonight. It's one of my favorite Canadians. It's Ranger.
Good evening, Raven. Good evening, everybody. We're in for a good race tonight. Division 1 always is giving us some great races. Just finished off Division 2, and definitely was a very entertaining race. Great racing as well, wheel-to-wheel action. I expect no less. We're going to see the same thing here on Division 1.
Yeah, it should be a really good race tonight. These guys are they're fast. There's a lot of good on-track action in these races, and we don't expect tonight to be any different than any of those other nights. So the question here is, with the dominance that Ricardo's been putting in, is he going to continue that pace? I don't see any reason why he wouldn't, as for some reason Joe Goron is out on inters. I wonder if that's a mistake on his part. Let's take a look at the weather forecast. We have a 22% chance of rain. Air temperature 24, track temperature 31, so it's slightly overcast but not raining yet. So I wonder if Joel's just going out there to kind of rubber in the track on those inters.
Definitely. Just looking around over here what the weather's going to be like as well.
So riding on board with Moto Lee, he's going to lead the pack around. He's going to be our first one to go out and try to set a lap as he makes it around through the through sector 2. He's going to come around here to turn 15 and take this really fast lefty, and then another lefty in the pit straight that's not so straight. It's slightly bent, but he's going to start us out on his flying lap. So he's going to open up that DRS gap. Lots of battery. Pedal all the way to the floor. As he crosses the start-finish line, he'll start his lap down into turn 1 through the Senna S's. So it's a quick left, back to the right, back to the left again, and he'll come up on the next DRS detection zone, open up the back flap, and then you send it on down to turn 4, as he has a Haas who wisely stays out of the way. And he sets a 16.9 first sector. That's not bad. Following along, he's rolling his way down towards the lake, and we're going to take this fast right-hander that slows down, and then it's going to get real tight to the right, tight to the left. And this is the slowest part of the track, and this is where you have to decide when you're making your setup. Do you want a high downforce setup that's really going to hug and grip through these, or are you worried about the straights and the overtaking and you want to run a lower downforce setup? Oh, Moto Lee finishing up sector 2 here, 51.6, so he's on a pretty good lap here as he comes around through the fastest portion. He's not going to pick up a slipstream from anybody in front of him. Burned most of his battery, opens up that DRS flap now, and he is flying along the pit straight. He's going to set our first time, and he's going to go a 1:08.5. That's a pretty decent lap.
Definitely some good progress on those laps already. We're going to see some good times. Just saw someone posting a 1:07.3, already going on much faster times here.
Jack Pemberton setting a really quick time to start out. Track's not even rubbered in yet. Guys are just getting their tires up to temperature. So based on previous, we're going to see that time start to fall as qualifying goes on. We've got 14 minutes, so no one's in a big hurry. They're going to try to go out and set these banker laps, make sure their tires are good, make sure their setup's good, make a final wing adjustment, maybe a little bit of brake bias adjustment. As Peter, his teammate, goes a 1:07.1. Gator goes P5 with a 1:07.8. That's a really good lap for him.
Curious to see the strategies here. We've seen Victor Diaz and Ricardo as well on medium tires. They're going to try to go the long run. Proposed strategies when we raced earlier in the Division 2 was a long run with the softs to eventually go into the hard tires. Now let's see how a possible safety car could mix all that up.
Absolutely. It's the hard tires can be difficult to drive in this game, but if you've got the patience, you can make them work. Softs will last you between 12 to 17 laps. Any more than that, you're really going to risk a puncture. You're going to risk losing a lot of pace to cars behind. The medium tire seems to be the best race tire based on what I've seen so far. Ricardo T, one of the quickest guys in the field, goes 107.9 on the mediums. And so that puts him right there, P7. He now drops to P8. So if he gets pushed out of that top 10, he may just go ahead and throw on a set of softs to be able to start closer to the front of the pack. Riding on board with Joel Guron. He is coming across the start-finish line. 107.7, that puts him up to P6. So the Red Bulls out and trying to be quick today. They haven't had great success over the course of the weekend, but Joel currently in P6 and Duncan in P11. It's like Jack Fletcher still in the pits. Next across the line is going to be the McLaren of Siggy, I believe. Siggy goes into the pits. Taylor Carter also into the pits. Looks like we have a Haas of Bob Loblaw also going into the pits. So we're getting a lot of good pit shots here. A lot of guys pitting. They've got their initial run. So usually what you want to do to get your banker lap in, you're going to do your out lap, do a hot, fast push lap, and depending on where your battery and fuel is set, you'll do a cool down lap and come in. Some guys will try to go for that double push, but you have to carry a lot of extra fuel to do that. You really have to manage that battery. It looks currently like everyone except Duncan McCamick and Joel Guron into the pits or in an out lap currently. Duncan is coming around to sector 2. Looks like he's doing well.
It's quite empty as well.
So Duncan is probably on a cool down lap and about to come into the pits to get off those softs.
Still no laps from Jack Fletcher. He is out on his outlet. He's just about to end up going on the straight, and he's at the end of sector 2.
So right on board with Jack to this lap. Jack, a really quick driver, really good guy. Broadcast for us in Division 3. Is one of my teammates for ACC on Tuesday nights, and just an all-around, just really good member of this community, and a quick driver to boot. So it's good to have guys like Jack around. So we'll take you on a lap through here with Jack Fletcher and see how he takes this. How he attacks this track as he crosses the start-finish line, and he'll begin his lap. Hard and fast, heavy onto the brakes, down to about third gear to take the first part of the Senna S. So we'll go left, right, left again. Open up the steering wheel, get hard on the throttle. Opens up that flap as looks like an Alfa Romeo gets out of the way. Brings it down into turn 4. Nice and easy, back on the throttle, easy as you please. Had a little snap of oversteer there. Slip. So hopefully that won't hurt his time too badly, but yeah, he holds on to it. Having a little bit of issue there, Jack does. Maybe those tires not quite up to temperature yet.
Definitely pushing it.
It looks like he's going to run into 3 slow cars behind him, or in front of him, and hopefully they don't impede him too much. So as Jack comes around to the fast part of the track, it looks like he might get a little bit of toe off the Haas in front. Here he comes down the pit straight. DRS flap wide open, and it's hustle, hustle, hustle. Doesn't pick up the toe. He stays left, but good enough to go P12 on his first timed lap.
Good results given the fact that he had to battle with the car a little bit. We've got a lot more cars on the track right now. I only see 3 drivers in the pits currently, so everybody's either on their out laps or on their fast laps doing times. So gotta be careful. There's a lot of traffic out there. There'll be some slipstreams. Well, I expect to see some times improve. Are we going to see our first 106 soon?
We very well could. Peter Giordano picked him up right as he crossed the start-finish line, and he goes 200ths faster to set a 107.139. So the lap times might start to come down a little bit now. We have Ricardo out on a set of softs, and let's see what he can do. He is right now the king of the aliens, as he's 2/10 up on his time on the medium tires through sector 2. Does have a few cars queued up in front of him, but I don't think anyone that's going to cause him any sort of impediment. As he swings around here through turn 15, lots of battery left, nice and tight, gets the power down early. Everything clean in front of him. Looks like he might pick up a tow from Jack Pemberton ahead. DRS flap wide open, and he is just on the power, just maxed out, flipping those reds, and goes a 106.9. He improved by a full second to the soft tires, and now has Peter Giordano by a full 2/10.
Here it is, our first 106, something we've not seen, I believe, in the other two division races. This is just another proof that Division 1 is a whole league of their own.
It's like Tom's going back into the pits. Seems like every time I try to pick somebody up, they dive into the pits. It's like they don't want screen time.
Scaring them.
All right, we got Ethan Patel filling in for the Mercedes Red Bull driver in Division 2. Looks like he invalidated his last lap, and he's coming back around. He's going to start another lap. So if that lap had counted, it would have been a 108.6, and that's just not good enough. So he's going to have to recharge that battery and try again after invalidating. I don't see his fuel light on, so he may have packed just enough fuel for a double push or a push-cool push. It's right on board with Duncan McCamick. Looks like Duncan is 1.2 slower that time around. So we expect here halfway through qualifying, we'd expect to see some of these lap times tumbling, but so far that hasn't been the case.
Thinking weather could be an impact over here. We don't have the clear skies and the sun heating up the track. So these guys are doing maybe a little bit slower times than expected. Gonna have a lot of overcast, some clouds, but no rain or very small chances of rain is expected either in quali or during the race. Looking at the weather here, we're talking about under 20% of rain expectancy, and it's going down as the race goes. So it's overcast, but no chance of rain, and same thing for quali so far. So not high temperatures. We're talking about the track temperatures around the 31 degrees Celsius here.
We got an eye on Gator now. We're watching Gator as he starts his hot lap. He's looking to improve on that 107.8. That puts him almost a full second behind Ricardo. So well off the pace, but again, Ricardo is on a different level from a lot of the drivers in Division 1. But Gator is known to be quick and a good competitor, and so we'll see if he can do anything here as he comes through into Sector 2. Nice and tight through the S's here. Hugging that curb really tight. Good exit. Back on the throttle. Gonna slip down here into third gear, back up to third. Early back on the power. Really good exit there. Keep it tight through here. You're going to slide out just a little bit to the left right before you come around to turn 15. He's got clear air in front of him, which is not always a bad thing. And he's looking like it's a pretty good lap thus far. DRS flap will open up now for him, and we'll see if he can improve. If it is an improvement, it's not a lot. It's he goes almost half a second quicker, so I was wrong. 107.4 puts him up into P7 ahead of Travis Robinson, who is in the pits. Joel Guron in 9th, and Tom currently in P10.
Great lap by Gator there, a teammate I've just raced with in D2 here. And very solid driver, very consistent in his driving, and proves it over here. D1 been putting so far on a provisional 7th position. Puts his car up in the right side of the track as well.
Take a look at Jordan Angus here. Jordan, not a great lap there. +4. Looks like Jordan's recharging that battery. Didn't invalidate, but probably just not real happy with that lap. Maybe ran into some traffic, but now going to have nothing ahead. So now's a good chance for Jordan to get a push on and move that AlphaTauri up closer to his teammate Travis Robinson. Jordan's actually slower through Sector 1. Car doesn't look unstable at all. Looks like it's pretty planted. So we'll see what the time is here as we finish up Sector 2 and head to the fastest part of the circuit. Oh, little wiggle on the exit there, a little oversteer. Fuel light is on, so Jordan may be coming back around to the pits, though he is up on his time, almost 2/10. We'll see what decision he makes here as he comes around to the pit straight. DRS flap wide open, keeps it just to the right of the pit line, and goes across the line with a 1:07.7, almost 0.3 quicker, and moves him up to P13. Looks like Jack Pemberton has invalidated his lap, and he'll need to charge that battery back up, and he'll be on a push to try to claw back some of that time, separating himself and Ricardo from pole.
Two Haas's are doing a little strategy here. I don't know if it's intentional. We got Damien Doran 11th and Bob Loblaw so far 19th. Looks like he's having a tug on with Damien. They're out on their beginning on their lap. Curious to see if the dirty air is going to slow down Bob Loblaw instead of having him do a faster time. He's going to try to get out of P19 currently.
So right on board with Bob and be able to see both cars through most of the lap. It's like Bob is up 1/10 on his lap right now. That's not going to be good enough to move him up real far in the standings. We're really going to have to make some headway here, but with the car right in front of you, it's going to be difficult to make up time through the middle sector. As he's right on the end plate of his teammate there. That's just not going to, I don't think that's going to help his time very much.
This track, you need clean air as much as possible. It's very tempting to maybe give ourselves a tug and a toe and on that straight, but once you get into sector 2, dirty air could really slow your car down, and if you don't have strong aerodynamics, it could be very slippery. Gotta be careful on those rears. If you push on the thrust a little bit too hard, you could definitely slip out and lose some time.
So he does go 2/10 faster, does move him up from 19th to 16th. Not a giant improvement, but I guess every little bit counts at a track like this, where the lap times are super fast when you're talking about 66 seconds or less for most of these guys. Race pace is going to be close to 70 seconds.
Gotta give a credit to Damien here, who had provisional 5th, just dropped down to 6th. Definitely improved this time from P11. So
right on board with Ethan right now. He is on a timed lap here down in P13 in the Mercedes, usually a Red Bull driver, so be a little bit different setup for him, a little different visual, a little different audio, but most of these guys can just get in and drive regardless of what it is. So Ethan is now up 2/10 on his time. If he can keep that up all the way through the lap, that's going to put him up near P10, P11 with Gator and Joel Gurr on. So Ethan so far keeping it nice and tight through sector 2. He's going to run into a little bit of traffic ahead in one of the Alfa Romeos, and his teammate Moto Lee, who's down in P19. And so we'll probably jump from Ethan straight over to Moto Lee. We'll go one Merc to the next, because as one starts their lap, the other will be finishing. So Ethan finishing up sector 2, up 3/10 now. That's a really good lap from him. That's going to put him up around P9. Depending on what he can do here in this final sector. Just keep it tight and clean. That DRS do its work. As he comes down the pit straight, Ricardo sets an even faster lap, a 1:06.8. And Ethan goes almost half a second quicker to put him up into P7. So really good lap from Ethan.
Gonna bring your attention to P9 and P10. If you look at their times between Duncan and Tom here, 1/1000th difference between the positions right there. Practically similar lap times.
And we'll see much of the same during the race, as we've actually officially run out of time for qualification. Travis went ahead and retired. Travis moved up to P3, Alfonso to P2. Right now, Peter Giordano in 4th, Jack Pemberton in 5th. Running on board with Moto Lee. He desperately needs to get out of P19. That is not a good place for him to start. And he's up less than half a tenth on his time, so it doesn't look like there's going to be much of an improvement there. That's P19 looks like that's going to be about all there is for him. It looks like he has stopped the car on track and has called it quits. As Peter Giordano, the young Italian, goes P2, takes that spot from Alfonso Luis.
Only the second driver to go under the 107s.
Victor Diaz up on his time as he comes down the main straight, looking to improve from that P9. And he does go faster, goes up to P6, so he'll start ahead of Damien.
Oh, we have a crash in the back. Josh Barnsley seemed to have crashed his car. right in the straights. Did he make contact with another driver?
That's very disappointing. So that looks like that is going to
Both
be
Ferraris.
all the times that are set. So we'll recap this real quick. Ricardo T goes fastest with a 106.8. Peter Giordano, the young Italian in P2. Alfonso Luis, Ricardo's teammate in P3, 107. Travis Robinson, the Canadian, in 107.092. Jack Pemberton in 5th. Victor Diaz 6th. Damien in 7th. Ethan Patel 8th. Joel Guron and Duncan McCamick round out your top 10. So a good showing for the Red Bulls. And as you see, the rest of the runners all decided to opt for the soft tire. There will be no medium runners in the top 10. So we'll see what strategy decision is made here as they go back into the pits and get ready to go racing. Getting some information from our pit reporter now. Jack Fletcher actually had an issue. His wheel was disconnected from his car, so he was driving it with the pedals only there for a little while. So that would explain some of Jack's poor performance there. Getting some other some team radio here. It sounds like there may have been some people in blocking each other in quali. It'll be something the stewards want to look at later. Unfortunately, right now it's too late to change anything for the race, but be some people very unhappy about that.
Yes, definitely. When everybody's on the track at the same time, it's very possible to intentionally or unintentionally block somebody on the fast lap. It's a relatively short track, high speeds as well. Time is being close to average 107.4, I'd say. 107.3, 107.4, and there's a lot of people on track. Definitely there's chances that you could block it.
So you raced with a couple of these guys in the previous race. Is there anybody you want to really keep your eye on that you think is got a really good chance to be up near the top?
Myself, having raced in Division 1 last week in Mexico, I'm definitely was very impressed with Ricardo's ability to take care of his tires for a very long duration time. So I'm very curious to see how he's going to do that in Brazil. This track in Interlagos is known for being a tire killer. If you don't have the right setup, your tires will definitely heat up, and you'll have a lot of issues with the tires being losing their grip and overheating and giving you all sorts of issues. Myself, I'd run my soft tires up to 80% at some point during the last race, so it was very quick, very dangerous to do so. So Ricardo's my man, and Gator, teammate on D2, had a great performance in the last race earlier. I think he's going to be able to carry that into this race. He's starting from P12. I'm expecting him to climb up in the race and gain a couple positions.
Absolutely. So these drivers are going to go ahead and take us around for the formation lap. I think if you're a betting person, the smart money's on Ricardo. But we saw him last week in Mexico go first to last to first again. So hopefully avoiding that again. Doesn't want to be at the end, doesn't want to have an incident turn one. And I know from talking to the other drivers who were involved in that, they'd like to avoid that sort of shenanigans again. But maybe that's good news for some of the front runners. If something like that does happen, they get a chance to make up some early positions and sort of change their strategy to more favorable.
The race start here will be absolutely key. Going down in that first corner, if you're able to get away from that and make sure to gain some space before the DRS is activated, that's what happened last race with our latest winner, Raptor. He gained a lot of time up front and basically ran away with it, because everybody else in the back were fighting each other, and he was alone and having a race of his own.
Just making some UI adjustments here because, I'm good at things and stuff. So it looks like we got everything set to go. Looks like everything's nice and smooth as the leader brings them back around. Looks like everybody's caught up, so nobody doing the trail off there in the last positions to try to get the leaders in midfield to cool their tires off too much. I know cool tires on a start like this when it's overcast and the track starting to cool can be a big factor in a good start and can really ruin your race early on.
As I said, predicted pit stop strategies. We're talking about one stops with the softs and hards, or going two softs and then mediums to end the race.
And here we go as the lights come on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and now engage loud pedal. And now we're going to get away to turn one. Ricardo gets a good start. His teammates right behind him. It looks like the two Alfa Romeos are going to try to bully their way up to first and second, and they do so. Peter Giordano dropping back quickly. Also loses a spot to his teammate Jack Pemberton. Travis Robinson also losing a spot on that. several drivers. Tom drops 3 spots. Shaggy Muffin's made up 4 and is a clean getaway. It looks like we don't have any drivers out, and so far we are away and racing in Brazil.
Exactly as I predicted. Ricardo and the other Alfa Romeo Lamfi had a great start, and this is where it gets interesting. Will the Aston Martins be able to catch up to them and keep within the DRS zones? That's where you get most of the overtakes, is on the long straight. It'd be really important to keep in the DRS zone. It means having a really good second sector and making sure to keep in that rhythm without losing too much time.
So it does look like we had a little bit of contact at the start. Looks like Jack Fletcher does have some damage to his wing. He's sort of falling behind the pack. Luckily, he's got his wheel on, though, so one step at a time. As we come around to the start-finish straight, it's Ricardo leading from Alfonso Luis, from Peter Giordano, who's made that spot up on Travis Robinson. Jack Pemberton's dropped behind Travis. Victor Diaz, Ethan Patel, Damian, Joel, and Duncan McCamick round out your top 10. Expect Jack Fletcher to drop into the pits here, and he does. He's going to have to change that wing, and we'll see if he goes onto a medium or hard tire to try to extend this first stint. So far, everyone within DRS range. DRS will not activate, of course, until lap 3. We have to complete 2 laps before DRS will be activated. So right now is the time to make sure you make up those gaps. Don't burn up those tires and don't burn out all your battery, and keep it just close enough to where you be able to open that DRS flap on the 2 straights, sorry.
Wheel in the back here with Tom and Bob Loblaw having a great little stint here. Bob Loblaw is having a little bit of a very tight battle with Tom, and there's Jordan Angus right behind him in the AlphaTauri. He's able to hold his own.
It's really nice to see these drivers driving so clean and driving together. Looks like Taylor Carter is going to be the one that's going to lose out on the DRS. Looks like P1 through 11 is all within the DRS range. Taylor 1.3 back from Gator, so that's going to make up kind of our second pack of DRS train. Big mover right now. Josh Barnsley's all over the back in P18 of Moto Lee. Looks like he might try to get that done if he's able to activate DRS here, and he's not.
DRS being able now, even though it's a short DRS zone, it could definitely get work and get your car in a good position. Kind of want to break early, late as well and see if we could get the inside, but it's a very risky move to do.
Keeping an eye on Moto Lee back in P17, had a moment coming out of turn 4, but he is all over the back of Jordan Angus with Josh Barnsley right behind him. So even though that's at the back of the pack, these are guys that if something happens ahead can make up a lot of time really quick. As it looks like Siggy's had a moment, had it sort of dropped back from the pack, and poor Jack Fletcher back in P20 just running his own race right now.
Some medium tires on Jack Fletcher, so he's probably expecting hopefully a safety car. Speaking of safety car, a lot of drivers in the last race had underfueled their cars, so curious to see if these guys also had the same idea of underfueling their car in order to save themselves some weight, have some reduced weight, and be a little bit quicker. This track tends to use a lot more fuel, and if you don't get some safety cars to help you save that fuel, you could be in trouble. Very hard to save fuel here. You lose a lot of time if you start having to coast in those corners.
Keeping an eye on Travis Robinson, who just set the fastest lap, and he is all over the back of Peter Giordano. So the two of those are going to be battling that out for a couple of laps because they both currently have DRS, but it's all about who can manage the their entry and exit and who can get the power down quickest. And you can slowly close that gap up. It looks like Bob has moved up in P13, taking that spot from Shaggy Muffin. He's all over the back. It's right on board with him as he catches up to Tom here. All 3 of those on the medium tires. So soft tires, we said earlier, probably go, 14 to